So Jamie Smith talks about the habits that make us and shape us. And he talks about exercise as a metaphor for how we are built, how virtues can be built. He begins by saying that he himself has as a lifelong junk food eater and he never exercises. But his wife had been kind of on his case about exercising and eating better food. And he read books about exercise and why food is good, what kind of food one ought to eat. And he didn't dispute it. I mean, he's a smart guy. He's a philosopher. The factual content of the need to exercise and eat better food was, well, he agreed with that. And yet he didn't really want to eat better food. He didn't exercise because his heart wasn't in it. So he didn't. And under continuous pressure, possibly nagging from his wife, it started to wear on him that maybe he really ought to take this seriously. He read books about it. Later on, his doctor told him, look, your blood work is bad. You're getting a certain age. You really need to exercise more. You need to, take care of your body. So eventually, he thought, I really ought to do this. And so he made the painful attempt to run more and eat better. And so he's running now. And people would ask him afterwards, hey, how's your run? Did you enjoy it? He'd say, no, it was awful. I hate running. And he really, really did. But he kept at it day after day after day consistently. And eventually someone asked him, how's your run? And he said the weirdest thing. He said, yeah, I felt good. And what he discovered was that even though he initially hated running, he had just a little bit of impulse to go do it. He felt the need to do it. So he did it. And it wasn't intellectual, his brain wanted to do it, but his brain couldn't make him do it. His heart wasn't in it, but he just went to do it because he knew it was a good thing. And eventually that which he hated, he kind of began to enjoy. It felt good. And the rationale is your body is designed by God to eat better food and to exercise. We're made to move and eat good food. We're not made to be sedentary eating junk food all the time, even though we desire that on some level if you've been poorly habituated. But by doing this over and over again, his body became harmonized with the design of God. And he began to enjoy it for good reason, because that's actually the way God designed us to be, to actually want to do good things for our bodies. Again, it's not the head. The head couldn't make you do it. The heart didn't want to do it. But eventually, the external habituation of virtues brings your head and heart into line, become harmonized with what is good for God's good and holy purposes. There's a lesson here. I think oftentimes I wake up in the morning and I don't want to go to church. Oftentimes I don't want to read the Bible. Let's put it this way. Maybe 99% of me doesn't want to go to church, doesn't want to pray, doesn't want to read the Bible. There's just 1% of me that does. And so maybe what we ought to do is just lean into that tiny bit of us that thinks we ought to, and our heart just a little bit desires to. And we ask the mercy of God to honor that one little bit that knows and feels the right thing to do. And you do it anyway. So maybe going to church, it would be great if we went to church every Sunday and we were inspired. Maybe you just wake up in the morning on Sunday and say, I want to go to church. Maybe you wake up in the morning and say, I want to read the Bible and pray. That'd be great if it was that way all the time. But realistically speaking, no, it won't be that way. And so if you want to go to church and want to pray and want to read, go, do it. But if you don't, well, maybe the answer is do it anyway. Take that 1% of you that wants to do it and lean into that. Ask God to have mercy upon that, to honor that, to water that, to feed that. And you go. And eventually, like Jamie Smith, we will become what we were meant to be, which is worshiping beings. And so we take that one good thing and we do it, even if we don't want to, and it will become habituated. And eventually, we'll want to worship God. Mostly, we'll want to pray. We'll want to become liturgical animals, liturgical beings that are worshiping God.